This is a quick practice to work on the thighs, specifically the quads. For this practice, you will need at least one myofascial ball. An option here is to have a larger ball, something a little bit bigger that has a little give to it. This is something that you can purchase online if that's something you're interested in, but it's just a little bit softer and more forgiving. So if you take this and it feels really pointed, really intense, getting a larger ball like this might be something that you do. All right, we are going to start on our belly here. Bring yourself all the way down. And we'll start with the right quad. So you can lift up and slide the ball right under the very center of the right thigh. So if you think about your thigh in two separate points, an upper point and a lower point, we're right in that very middle point. Once you land, you can let your feet get heavy. You could stay propped up onto forearms, that Sphinx position, or lower down and rest your head. Just notice what feels best to you here. Which one might feel more intense, less intense. You're looking for that right intensity. So find what works for you and let your body soften. See if you can soften that right kneecap as much as possible. And as you do that, maybe that intensity increases. So just notice. Let the glutes soften, the lower back soften. And you have the option to stay in that stillness. Or if you'd like to find a little movement here, I like cross fibering for this. So a rolling of that right foot out to the left and then back towards center. And you'll feel that ball just kind of traversing side to side over the middle portion of your thigh. So you can take that a few times, notice how it feels. And notice where you feel any sensation referring. Is it staying local or traveling somewhere? Another option to take here, bring yourself back to that center point, a little stillness, is to bend the knee so the foot comes up toward the sky and then lower it back down. And you can take that a couple of times. Notice how maybe that affects some different sensation within your body. These quad muscles that run through the front of the leg, front of the thigh, refer down into the knee. So you might feel sensation there. They can also refer pain upward into the hip, sometimes wrapping around the side of the leg. So just notice where you feel that sensation. I'll take one more moment here. So bring yourself back to that stillness. The body soften down over the ball. Before we move to side two, we'll find a second point here. So you might lift your body up and just roll upward a little bit so that the ball comes right above the knee. Or you can lift the ball, bring it to a new point. But we'll work on that space just above the kneecap. So a little bit lower in the thigh. Let the body soften again, down over the ball. And you have the option for those movements. A little drifting of the leg in and out. Notice how that feels, the texture of that movement. Is it smooth or bumpy? You have several different muscles here. So traveling over those bundles of muscle fiber could feel a little bumpy. Maybe it's tender. If you find an interesting point that you'd like to land in, you can just pause, breathe into it. Or if you'd like that other movement, come back through center, middle of the thigh, and bend the knee and straighten. And take that a few times. This lower point can really affect the knee. So notice how it feels for you. Does it refer downward? Do you feel any clicking, popping? Just being aware of how your body responds to this. Let's land in stillness. Take a few final breaths there. Lean to one side, take that ball out from under you. And give yourself a little pause here. You could bend both knees and then straighten the legs. Maybe you notice how the right thigh feels different than the left. Lighter, more fluid. Maybe the movement at the knee feels a little easier. You could also drop the knees a little side to side. And bring yourself back to stillness. Put a little pause there before we take it to side two. And now taking the ball into your left hand. You'll roll to the right to slide that ball right under the center of the left thigh. So really thinking about middle of the thigh in both directions, right at that point where upper and lower thigh come together. Let the body soften as much as possible. In these first few moments, you can really notice how much you're holding on or clenching here. So think about that kneecap softening. Maybe it feels intense. I know for me it does. Invite it to release with time. Every breath, you surrender a little bit more here. And you could stay with that stillness. That compression could be just what you need. Or maybe it's a little cross fibering as you rock the leg out to the side and back into center. Just rolling across the leg here. Noticing any interesting, tender, sharp points. And just recognize if something feels too intense, you don't have to go there. If it takes your breath away and you're not able to soften your body, work the points just around that space, and eventually you can get to that. It doesn't have to be immediate. Maybe it's the bending and straightening of the leg. Another thing to take note of is how this side might be different from side one. Do you more typically hold tension in one side? Or do you notice a pattern here? This practice is all about getting to know your body, investigating, getting curious. Let that foot rest, leg gets heavy. We'll take it to that final point. So a little bit lower now. You can either move the ball or roll upward, but you're just above the kneecap, right in the center, middle of the thigh. And let the knee soften, the glutes, the lower back. And you have those options for movement. The rocking side to side. Or that shearing technique of bending and straightening. This lower point does enact a little bit more sensation into the knee generally. So just notice if that's what you feel. Especially with this bending and straightening, this shearing technique, different layers of muscle and fascia are kind of gliding over each other while certain points are being pinned down by the ball. So notice if you feel difference in sensation as you find that movement. Let's bring it back to rest for a few final breaths here. Your body softens. One more breath. Give yourself a little rock to one side. Take that ball out from under you. And then you can give the legs a little straighten and bend. Noticing now the left thigh. How does it feel? A little rock of the leg side to side. And eventually rising up to a kneeling position here, just to give a little bit more awareness to the thigh space. So you'll sit onto your heels, find a tall spine, stacking your shoulders over your hips. Just noticing this quad space. You could stay here, or if you'd like to find a little bit more stretch here, bring your feet a little wider so that you can sit in between your heels. If that doesn't feel comfortable for you, continue sitting onto your heels or grab a block to lift yourself up a little higher. You can stay upright or give yourself a little lean back just to stretch out those quads a little bit. A gentle tug here into that fascia. Take a few final breaths. Nice. One more breath here. And you'll come back upright. Cross your legs, find a seat. And just notice that new freeness in your quads, your legs, maybe extending beyond the knees, down into the lower legs or the hips. Thanks for joining, and I hope to see you soon.